Why the WNBA bet big on Philly, Detroit, and Cleveland. Inside Cathy Engelbert and Co.'s 5-year plan. If someone had told Cathy Engelbert 5 years ago that the WNBA would see such a rise, she would have laughed it off. In the summer of 2020, the league moved into a tightly controlled bubble environment, dubbed the Wubble, in Bradenton, Florida, to salvage what it could of the season. And as the pandemic became the commissioner's first real test, insiders gave Engelbert a bleak 2% chance of being successful with her plans. If we didn't pull off that season, Engelbert reflected later, I don't think the league would have survived. It was that precarious. We weren't operating from a place of security. Indeed, even that year's draft unfolded not in a grand venue, but in Engelbert's own living room. Her kids pitched in, steaming crumpled jerseys behind the scenes so she could hold them up with some semblance of professionalism on camera. But the absence of live sports turned into an unexpected advantage. With millions stuck at home, the WNBA landed more screen time and audiences responded. Compared to 2019, viewership soared by 68% in 2020. A fresh collective bargaining agreement had already been inked earlier that year, earmarking more funds for marketing and player endorsements. Now, Engelbert can say with a smile that one would be hard-pressed to watch a major sporting event and not spot a WNBA player featured in an ad. And she can even ask, remember when we were fighting for survival? Well, guess who's expanding, with one sassy finger pointed at the expansion chart. Well, the league announced on Monday that it would add not one but 3 new teams, Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia, by the end of 2030. With Toronto and Portland already set to join next year, this will push the league's total to 18 franchises. What's even more impressive is that these teams are bringing serious wallets, backed by NBA ownership groups. Each expansion franchise is cutting a $250 million check to the league. For context, that's 5 times what the Golden State Valkyries shelled out to join just a couple years ago. Talk about inflation, not just of prices, but of belief in women's basketball. The demand for women's basketball has never been higher, and we are thrilled to welcome Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia to the WNBA family, Engelbert said. This historic expansion is a powerful reflection of our league's extraordinary momentum, the depth of talent across the game, and the surging demand for investment in women's professional basketball. But this expansion is just the first step. If you remember the first ever WNBA game hosted in Canada in 2023, you'd know the kind of audition it was, and clearly, it passed with flying colors, putting cities in Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia on the radar as well. Now, since the league has been eyeing the expansion process for years, there were more than a dozen cities that submitted their bids, with Kansas City, St. Louis, Austin, Houston, Miami, Denver, and Charlotte, North Carolina in the mix. Why were Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia selected first, then you might ask? The logic was straightforward. First, the league did not want to dilute the talent pool. Second, Engelbert and her team looked at market strength, infrastructure, and hometown backing. These are proud cities with powerful sports legacies, each one rich in basketball tradition, Cathy said. This is a bold step forward as we grow our footprint. So, these cities may become springboards for the WNBA's international reach, leveraging Canada and even Europe down the line. Cleveland, a return with global vision. It has been more than 2 decades since the Rockers folded and women's basketball went dormant in Cleveland. But the then-coach Dan Hughes never saw it coming. So, even today, he will stop you in your tracks if you mention that another WNBA team would never work where it once failed. As former WNBA president Val Ackerman once said, they were not doing well on the Cavs side. That was the issue. The Cavs were not doing as well as the organization wanted, and LeBron was coming in, and they saw an opportunity to bring the men's team back in a huge way. They just decided as an organization that that's where they were going to focus their energies. But now, the WNBA is booming with stars like Caitlin Clark. The Cavs are doing well without LeBron James, and they even have a mantra of taking Cleveland to the world now. That's exactly why Cleveland was one of 3 finalists for the NWSL's 2026 expansion team, and why they have a WTA event in tennis in the land. So yeah, no questions asked, a WNBA team would crush it here. There's a growing appetite for women's sports in Cleveland, said David Gilbert, CEO of the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission, pointing to the blowout success of the 2024 Women's Final Four as proof. And when it comes to the WNBA, Cleveland isn't chasing stars, it's championing.